Welcome to Kingdom Business Talk. I'm Ricky Trinidad, your host, and this is a podcast where we focus on enhancing our city, Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and Lawrence County and our region physically, environmentally, socially, and spiritually. So that's an approach that a lot of real estate developers and a lot of organizations don't look at is the spiritual aspect of it, and that's something we do focus on. We have a special podcast for you today. This is going to be, you're in for a treat today, and I welcome you and thank you so much for joining us. Here at Kingdom Business Talk, we try to bring in guests that will inspire you, that will share their vision, that will give you insight into how they're moving, whether they're a business owner, whether they work for the government, whether they're part of an organization, basically what they're doing. These are people that are inspired to change their environments for the better and to enhance their environments, especially here in our city. And today, speaking of people with a vision, today we're blessed to have a man who is a man of God, a believer, somebody who I met in the actually through my church. He doesn't attend our church, but through some different programs, and I'll share that with you a little bit later. And also, he is the mayor of Greenville, Pennsylvania, which is about 40 minutes from here. Mm-hmm. And Mayor Paul Hamill has graced us with his presence today, and I'm really pleased and thankful that you're able to come and join us today and share about Greenville and your vision and what you're doing. So, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here with you this evening.
We really appreciate it. And the first thing I wanted to ask you is, can you give us a short kind of description of Paul Hamill and Greenville, and just your mission, what you see as your mission in Greenville?
Sure. Well, I was originally born and raised in Pittsburgh, and I had moved up to the Greenville area in about 2004 time frame. Opened a business up there. Got involved probably 8 years ago in politics. Decided to run for the council, and I think about 3 years into my council, I became council president. And then 2 years ago, I'm into my third year now as the mayor, but 2 years ago, Greenville officially went from a borough to a home rule community where the mayor became automatically the council president. So I ran for the mayor's position and unopposed, and I've been the mayor now for, like I said, almost 3 years now.
So you're a businessman,
Yes.
And you're a builder.
Mm-hmm.
And as I get to know you more and more, your life is very interesting. I've had the pleasure of visiting you at one of your businesses, actually two of your businesses, and you also have a passion for real estate, construction and development. So let me ask you, what made you decide to be mayor? Where did that come about? How did that passion come about?
Well, funny enough, it started like most people. They have a problem with the local government, and they, complain about it, which is what I did. I complained a lot about things, and I think it was either my wife or my son one night told me that it doesn't do any good to complain if you're not going to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So it was either put up or shut up. Well, I'm not one to shut up, so I had to put up, and thought I could get in there and change the world, and it's been a very eye-opening experience because you learn a lot. It's kind of unfortunate because as a normal citizen, most people don't really know the true workings behind the government, right or wrong, whether you like it or not. But it's just how it works. So I got in there. I spent the first 3 years learning. I became the first certified borough official in Greenville. Just learning all the ins and outs on how the government works and the things you can do and can't do. And it's limited to what we can do, but there's a lot of things we can do to help our communities grow. But it greatly deals a lot with collaboration between private and government.
Well, definitely most people don't have the experience of being mayor, so it's a select few that get to have that. Has this, I think, me personally, I would like to know more about this. Has it affected your personal life? Is it easy for your wife to have a mayor that's involved in things in the city? Has there been any changes in your personal life for the better or for the worse? What is it like to be mayor?
It it's challenging. It really is. It, it's it's exciting on one hand because you get to be part of the government. You get to be part of your community in a way that you can really try to make some changes and improvements. But it's also very time consuming. It takes me away from my business. It takes me away from my family a lot. We have different meetings throughout the local municipality, the county. I'm always getting involved, so I'm going to meetings with the state. I've come down here to Newcastle several times for basically government-related issues. And it can be very trying on my wife and my family because you do get, unfortunately, those people that don't quite understand things, so and they want to take it out on social media, and you know, it makes it hard to go out to dinner because people want to come up and complain about the potholes on the street, and you know, instead of waiting until I'm in the office to do that.
How's your wife handling it? Is she enjoying the experience?
That you'd have to ask her that.
She's actually here with us today, sitting in the background supporting.
Yeah, that's why I'm not answering for her.
She's your greatest supporter, right?
She is. I will admit, every time I get close to saying, you know, I've had enough of this, I want to quit, and she's like, no, you can't quit. You know, you really enjoy what you're doing. You're making a difference. My pastor is the same way, you know, because God did put me in this position. This is not a position I would have ever thought to run for. But I ran and I won. I won again. So I do believe that God has me here for a purpose. And I think my wife believes that as well. So we will continue going as long as God has me here.
Amen. Well,
Yep.
you're a winner. You're a winner. You've won twice, and you know, I can imagine how there could be, you know, it's a sacrifice. I can say, I'm going to go out there and say I've never been mayor before, nor do I aspire to be. But I can imagine that it can take a toll on your personal life. However, and I could see it as a nightmare if you don't have a supporting wife in your corner kind of helping you. And in my practice as a real estate developer, I bounce everything off of I talk to her just about everything. And if you don't have that, it could be a nightmare. But if you do, I can see it also possibly being a positive in your life as you both kind of get used to this lifestyle and grow in this, not used to it, but grow in this lifestyle. Can you tell us a little bit more? We're gonna talk about some of the things that you've done in Greenville, some of the things that you're doing, and the vision you have going forward, and maybe even share some of the strategies. But before we do that, I want to get to know you a little bit better. And you know, we've had the privilege of you know, hanging out with you and going out to dinner with you and your wife and my wife, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit. And it's very interesting conversations. Tell me a little bit about the businesses that you have and your practice as a builder. I can see by visiting one of your businesses that you're very hands-on. That if you have a construction project, you can be there all day. And you really get into it. You have an eye for building. That really tells a lot about the person. If you're a good craftsman, that means you pay attention to detail. But tell us a little bit about your businesses before you became mayor and now, and just share a little bit about that so we can get to know the real Paul Hamill.
I spent most of my life as a general contractor, designing and building decks, additions, garages. I actually built 2 homes from the ground up. That's always been my passion. I still dabble in it, buying some homes and trying to fix them up and resell them when I have time. Pretty much back, I believe it was 2004, 2005, I kind of made the switch from building into retail. I'm not really quite sure how that direction came about, but that's where I ended up, is in retail, which is what brought me to Greenville originally. So I entered into the retail business. We started out with a small little gift shop, and then I ended up in this 41,000 square foot building that it's more or less like an indoor flea market. But as you saw when you come in, you don't even know you're in a flea market.
I have to interject. This is not a flea market
No.
by any means. It's a themed, huge superstore with a lot of little stores in there. Anything you want to buy, you can buy it in there. And every time you go from one, I would call it a kiosk, to another, they just have different themes. There's the cowboy theme. It's just a really interesting place just to walk around in there, even just go on a weekend and enjoy the place. I was really impressed by the decor, and I know you did it all by hand.
Yep.
of that store, but also the way everything is kind of laid out and designed, and the craftsmanship. So that's a beautiful place.
Well, thank you. I've been really blessed because I've always had the ability to think of something, see it in my head, and then just do it. I don't need blueprints. I don't need designs. Like all those buildings you saw was me just sitting there going, I'd like to see a jail, and then I built a jail. I've just been able to do that with a lot of things in life. But no, it's nice. We're on the verge of becoming a destination for Mercer County.
Your business.
Yeah, the business.
And what's the name of your business? So share with everybody.
Lisa's General Store.
Lisa's General Store. Why would you name it Lisa?
Sounds better than Paul.
After my wife. His wife's name is Lisa.
Yes, my wife's name is Lisa.
So Lisa's General Store. Is there a webpage?
Yep, lisasgeneralstore.com.
lisasgeneralstore.com. So I encourage you, if you're in the Greenville area, you want to take a nice little trip and see a really cool store, check it out online, lisageneralstore.com, lisasgeneralstore.com. And give them a visit and check it out. My wife and I enjoyed and we went with a group of people. We really enjoyed it.
The koi pond is up and running. There's actually koi fish in there now.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, that's been a challenging project. I never knew it would be so complicated to do koi fish.
Interesting. Okay, so tell us, now, what have you done since you've been mayor in Greenville? What has been your passion? What have been some of the changes that you've been working on that you would like to see? And I might as well ask, what are you working on? What would you like to see, and what is your vision for changes? Let's talk about the physical changes of Greenville that you envision, let's say, in the next 1 to 5 years.
Okay. Well, to be completely honest, the first couple years was more just learning. Local politics is not easy. I mean, it's not you just step in and pave a street. I mean, so like I said, I took 3 years to become a certified borough official, so I had to learn. Mm-hmm. And I did the majority of that on my own expense. So the first part of my term, I was just focused on learning how to do the job. One of the biggest things that I guess you could say I'm known for doing was, I believe, I'm not one of those people that there's a rule or a law in place that's hindering something, so we create another way to get around it. My idea is just go fix the original law or rule. So a good example would be Commonwealth Pennsylvania had a law that said you had to have a population of 10,000 people to have a redevelopment authority. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that Greenville needed, a tool to get us moving forward, was a redevelopment authority. But we didn't qualify because we're only 5,300 people. So I went with, at the time, State Representative Mark Lanjotti, and we worked on and got a law passed in Pennsylvania to change the redevelopment authority to 0. So now, today, Greenville has a redevelopment authority that just got enacted to help us with our economic growth moving forward.
Beautiful.
So that's probably the biggest thing. There's been a lot of things that pulling people in, pulling different people to hopefully invest in the community in. Vision-wise, I really would like to see, I mean, we're set now to start our economic growth, and we're on the cuff of that. We have a lot of things in place. The redevelopment authority is one. We're working on the blight review committee now. We just worked on that today to get that put in place to identify blighted properties so we can get them on the right track to be getting something done with them to eliminate the blight. Greenville is a very fortunate community in my eyes, coming from Pittsburgh and traveling all over the United States. We're only 1.8 square miles, 1.89 square miles. And we have our challenges like every community when it comes to drugs, blight, but it's not as bad. Mm-hmm. You can walk the streets at night in Greenville safely from downtown to your home and to the park. Like I said, we have our challenges, but it's not as bad as like Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or living in Erie. So the goal moving forward now is to bring in developers like yourself to start redeveloping some of the areas. The biggest thing that we're working on right now is we're working on rezoning the entire community, because we do have some mixed uses in areas that are being not utilized the best because of the way they're currently zoned.
Right.
So we're putting that out now and working on that.
Well, I want to share, changing the dynamics of a community takes, passion,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes strategy, it takes intelligence, it takes bringing the right team together. You can't do it by yourself.
No.
And
Definitely
really,
have
I
to have
think
the right people.
we're interested, my company, Metro Vitalization, one of our goals, because we're here in Newcastle, and our goal is to develop the surrounding area of Newcastle, the surrounding townships, and the city, the downtown city. That is our goal here in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, but also the region. And so that's Lawrence County, but it's also Mercer County. We're only 40 minutes away from you. So since we started talking, and as I see your strategy and the things that you're doing in this beautiful community of Greenville, we're interested. We really want to go in there and be a part of the development of Greenville as well. So we're really excited to work there eventually and get as we develop here, also kind of extend our work out to Greenville and work with you and be a part of it. I want to share how we met very briefly. Really interesting. My wife and I moved here to Newcastle because of the church that we go to, which is Jubilee Ministries International. And we fell in love with the church, and we decided to move here. And the church has a few different ministries. So one of them is called the Now Project. And the Now Project is a food drive, basically, that really literally feeds thousands of people right here in Newcastle, but for the entire region, monthly. So you were volunteering
Yep.
at one of those events, and I'm volunteering. I go there every single time. And, we enjoy doing that type of thing. When we started talking, and I said, I'm a developer. You said, you're a mayor. And I said, well, we have some things in common because you're a builder, I'm a builder. So that was interesting. And then the church also has this group that meets quarterly, only for men that are seeking a higher calling, that are seeking a deeper relationship with God. It's called the Man Cave.
Yep.
And we just had one. You've been at every Man Cave, and ever
Yes.
since I've been here, I've been at every Man Cave. And it's just a place where we fellowship, we talk, we get a message, we pray together. And so that really facilitated the beginning of what I feel is a strong relationship that's going to grow. And we got to talk a little bit even at the last Man Cave, which was just last week. So you're a man of God, like
Yes.
me. You're a man after my own heart. You're a man of faith, but you're also a mayor. So that's not a very common thing. And I applaud you for that, because when you're in business and you're a believer and you're a man of faith, you have to deal with different challenges. Most people don't understand that. We get attacked in different ways. So as a man of faith, as a believer, and also mayor, how do you see the spiritual condition of Greenville now and the evolution, and what is your vision for the spiritual transformation of your city? And let me just add a little bit to that.
Please.
A lot of people don't realize it. When I say spiritual, I don't mean a bunch of old churches sitting, pop-up churches in the city. That's not. Some cities have too many churches, and they're closing down. So it's not church building. A church isn't the church building. It's really the people. When I say spiritual, I mean, and many people don't realize it. That's why I wanted to clarify it. Spiritual, drug addiction is spiritual.
Yes.
Anger, crime, violence, those things are not intangible. They are spiritual. And they stay in an area if they're not addressed and strategically addressed and looked at with the spiritual eye. That really happens. So when that's why I said I admire your position as a believer, as a man of faith, and as mayor, because you're really in a position to shed your vision of changing the spiritual dynamic of your community in a way that most people can't do. So from that perspective, from the spiritual perspective, how do you see or envision the transformation of Greenville?
Well, that's interesting because that's probably going to be the hardest part of the vision of moving Greenville forward. And I say that because I committed myself back to Jesus Christ 5 years ago, and I've learned a lot because I disciple with my pastor every 2 weeks for the last 3.5 years.
And who is your pastor and what is the church? If you don't mind, I just
Living Word Christian Center.
Living Word
Christian Center
in Greenville. So
yes.
pay him a visit, Pastor.
Yeah, Pastor Jim Chapin.
Pastor Jim Chapin.
Well, actually, now he's an apostle.
Oh, Apostle
we still,
Jim Chapin.
still call him pastor, but he's an apostle. But what it has done is it's opened my eyes to, quite honestly, how the churches have failed the communities. And I see that as a huge hurdle, because in order to change the spiritual of your community, you need the churches to step up. And they need to step up and start doing what a church is supposed to be doing. And I see a lot of churches they're more interested in filling seats than delivering the message of the kingdom of God. Mm-hmm. So, Living Word Christian Center is about delivering the word of the kingdom of God more than worrying about filling the seats of the church. So we need to, in fact, I was just talking to Apostle Jim about that, we need to start figuring out how to bring these churches together to work on that spiritual end. It's funny because everybody wants the government to fix everything, but doesn't want any more government. Mm-hmm. The reality of it is if you really want it done, it's going to take private sector to do it, which means the church is stepping up, the community stepping up. Programs that are either led through the churches or private organizations, for a good example on teaching people how to live. Sadly enough, I've seen a lot of homes I've gone into where people just don't know how to live. And personally, you don't want the government involved in that. You want the church involved in that, or an organization involved in that that's not governed by state laws.
I agree. That could be a very a difficult feat to overcome, is
Yes.
the spiritual dynamics and really changing it. I want to plug in a quick story in Miami, and I had some interesting experience developing many properties in Miami, Florida. The mayor of Miami also became my friend, and his wife. He actually attended our wedding with my wife, and he said we went into a community that actually kind of looks like Newcastle.
Okay.
Has a lot of blight and things like that. Downtown Newcastle, it's no secret, but more tropical, more Miami-like. But it had the same kind of condition. And we went in and we started developing the first building there. He said, Ricky, he cut the ribbon for the first building, small development, and he said, I don't see what you see here. This is Little Havana. There's a lot of drugs and crime. I don't know why you're here, but I'm cutting the ribbon and hoping that what you want to do in Little Havana
Mm-hmm.
will be accomplished. And I could say I didn't do it, but if you go there to the same area, it is transformed. I've been a part of transformation, and I've of several transformations in Miami and in Chicago, and I could say it's not me. God can do anything.
Yes, he can.
God can do. I've literally seen miracles, whereas you had homelessness and drug addicts, and now they're all working, and they have families, and I meet them and talk to them, and while we're developing these buildings and this community, we experience a transformation. So I get it that
Mm-hmm.
it's Greenville, every community has its good and bad and its challenges, and it may be the most difficult thing. But as a man of God, you continue with that passion
Mm-hmm.
to transform it. Some people say it's a social transformation, but it's really the spiritual behind it. So how do you envision the city looking? Let's say if everything you want is accomplished, your vision is accomplished, what would it look like physically and spiritually? What would your city look like?
Well, I mean, if we were, ideally, we'd want it to be an Eden. So, I mean, beautiful sidewalks, parks. I mean, we do have a lot of nice parks in Greenville already, but, some of the historical buildings, bringing them back to their glory, maybe a combination of some newer style architect in there. Greenville is very unique where it's located because we are only 1.89 square miles, so we're not exactly ideal for big commercial, but we are ideal for light manufacturing, a community for living versus like downtown corridor with all the businesses.
Right.
So I would see us being more of a community of nice homes and nice parks and combination of transportation being cars, walking, bike riding, things of that nature, because we do have the river there to take advantage of. Light manufacturing for some better jobs, and then people like us that we could actually work out of home a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
So it has, Greenville has everything. We've got a hospital, we have Teal College, we have a Blue Ribbon High School, we have a newly remodeled elementary school. 1.5 miles down the road is all your fast food restaurants and your retail shopping. So it has a lot to offer, a good community to live in and travel out to work or work at home.
Well, I believe you're going to accomplish it, and I'm excited that I get to be a part of it, and I can't wait. It is going to be. I've shared before that my wife and I are going to go visit Greenville, South Carolina, which is
yes.
a city. Some people consider it the best city to live in the United States. Some people say. I'm sure a lot of people disagree because everyone loves their city, but they have actually a program over there because their city is so sought after. People want to live there, and the transformation that they've done. They have programs where they help other cities become like them because it's so beautiful and they've done such a great job. And one of my goals, as I was sharing with the mayor of this city yesterday, is for Newcastle to become like that. And I believe you have the same goal from what we were talking about. So aesthetically beautiful parkways, parks, open green spaces, some of the things you shared with me, that river walk that you want to do near the river, the core downtown, a beautiful new core downtown area, and then also the beautiful homes, like you said, restoring the historic buildings and keeping that historic value, and at the same time, the things that need to be knocked down and just building new around it, that kind of follows the same culture. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Are there any programs that you're thinking of, or that you may have available for developers like myself that are eager to develop cities and be a part of city transformations? Do you see any programs for developers and others and investors that may want to come in and explore Greenville?
Well, I think one of the biggest things for developers right now is it's Greenville's prime to pick up property to redevelop it at the moment. So as a developer, that's a key issue right there. But one of the other big key elements is the administration staff of the borough and the council is also now geared towards working with developers and working to help make all those transactions move smoothly. I mean, we can't obviously bypass state law. But when you have a governing body that's willing to work with you and maybe help you with tax cuts and different avenues that way, that makes it more attractive for developers to come in Greenville. We've spent a lot of time doing studies like the economic study, we did the pedestrian study, we did the housing stock study, we've done all these bronzefields to make it easier and more attractive for developers to come in, and we're now at the end of that and at the beginning waiting for people like you to show up and help us
we're
move
excited.
forward.
We can't wait. And so here you have it. I mean, really, a man of faith who's also a mayor, who has a vision for his city. This is what, these are the types of things we aspire. We want to congregate with people like yourselves and build a team of like-minded and like-hearted people. You have a vision for your community. You have a passion for it. Some things that are a little bit different, you pray over it.
Yes.
You strategize and you pray over it. And it's just a beautiful area, and I can't wait to see the transformation of Greenville, Pennsylvania. And I wanted to introduce Paul Hamill, Mayor Paul Hamill, to you. Now you get to know him a little bit better. Most people don't have that insight. Hopefully you've seen a little bit of his vision and what he's doing right next door to us. This is spreading. What we're doing here at Kingdom Business Talk, it's not just a podcast. This is a community of like-minded people, and we're coming together. We are going to transform our areas. We're going to work together and synergize as God intends it to be. God never intended for one person to do everything or to own everything. And you have strengths. I have weaknesses. I think I have some strengths. And I think you might have some weaknesses.
Oh, I definitely have weaknesses.
And there's a lot of people like us.
Yes.
So when we come together, it's just a non-stoppable force. We help you with yours. You help us with what we're doing. And we all benefit. And most importantly, the families of the area, the physical environment. We're talking about transforming places that has been unfortunately stagnant for too long.
Well, and you hit the key there, because that's how it's supposed to work, is working it together. Not just you or just me or just Newcastle or Greenville or Sharon or Hermitage. We need to work together. And I think it's very important too, is we need to work together with our citizens. We need to interact with them. We need to listen to them, hear what they have to say. But none of this is any one person. Right. This is going to take the right people in the right place. And I think what you're doing here is fantastic, because you're bringing the right people together, introducing the right people, just like how you and I originally got introduced. And I mean, you couldn't ask God for anything better than that to move forward with.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that, and thank you for joining us, and I congratulate you in what you're doing. And if you're a like-minded person, you want to benefit your community, you want to be a part of this growing movement. That's what this is. It's a movement. It's a culture. And you want to participate with it, you can be in California. You can be in Chicago. You may be a business owner or a professional or a stay-at-home dad or mom. It doesn't matter. If you have a passion for your community and you would like to participate with us or be a part of it or just be in the know-how, visit us here. Visit us now at our new webpage, kingdombusinesstalk.com. Send us a message. Visit me at my company webpage, metrovitalization.com. And I welcome you. I welcome you. I invite you to the next one. Don't miss us. Don't miss this podcast at 6:30 on Thursday evening. And I look forward to seeing you at the next one. And God bless you and your family here at Kingdom Business Talk.
We all know there's an advantage to playing at home, to being the home team. At LGKG, we've been your home team personal injury attorneys for auto accident and workers' compensation cases for over 90 years. We know what works and how to win. We have all the credentials. At LGKG, we don't take every case. We handpick our clients so that we can give you the attention you deserve.